faster car right now. It's pretty even, I guess. It comes down to who's driving.
And track specific as well. I think those two are the second and third post team. They're on par in my opinion. It's just whatever characteristics the track suits best for them.
Practically a good chunk of this. Diaby leaving for $55 million essentially brought you
another Premier League club.
The Premier League essentially funded Bayer Leverkusen's run to the top, because with just Diaby being sold, you got Boniface, you got Tella, and then you have some residue that you're able to get Xhaka with. Welcome, everybody. We're donning some different colors because, except for Dave, I've officially filled out my bandwagoning petition for the sake of footy, because we need the Dutch to beat England, for the love of God, because Akainu can't make a fucking penalty to save his life. Took an absolutely terrible shot, but we're here to recap the ongoing matches of the Euro. Here to essentially relieve the weight that Dave has on his shoulders with Canada carrying an entire continent of football, the least likely of all heroes. And we'll go into that. Alicia Lehmann has officially had her unveiling as a Juventus player, and she officially has more followers than AC Milan and Inter. There you go, one player, more than two clubs. And here to come in with the debauchery is Canadian Dave. German Dave is venting out his frustrations. No dart players have been harmed in the tournament of that German Dave is playing. We have verified that they are safe. German Dave is venting his frustrations at repeated bullseyes, though. But I digress. Dave, how are you?
I gotta say, for a channel here that we try to go so much against the English national team here, German Dave is playing what could be considered one of the most English things to do, and that is darts. So I don't know what to think. But that being said, yes, I am donning the red for two reasons: Team Canada and Ferrari. Obviously, Canada making it to the semifinal of the Copa America, never even being in the Copa America, not even competing at this level before, getting to the semis. So here we go. You had a disappointing outing at the World Cup, but now semis of Copa America against the World Cup title holders, deservedly or not, Argentina. That happens Tuesday. Of course, Ferrari and the boys, that happens tomorrow. And might I not, let us not forget that I have an Edgar Davids Dutch jersey right behind me as well. Everyone supporting the Dutch with my team Canada as well. Era 2004 to 8, somewhere around there. Those two jerseys, I can't remember. It's old.
Yours is older than, or mine's older than yours. That's what she said. But yeah, because like for example, I still have like this is like Van Nistelrooy in his prime. Like I think late 90s. I want to say this is Euro 98. To be honest with you guys, I found this in a pawn shop like a decade or so ago, and I'm like, oh shit, a Van Nistelrooy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Jersey. Yeah, it's like see, what bam,
nice beauty. That was and they've said it's been 20 years. 2004, the last time the Netherlands made the semifinals. That's when I was actually really into the Dutch team back then. I was dating a Dutch girl might have had an influence.
Yeah, Shit Givens is okay.
I like the Opa. Opa was cool.
Yeah.
We got along. Got into the Dutch team a little bit more. It was a thing. But that being said, the nations of Canada and the Netherlands have a pretty close relationship. There's some history there as well. So I've always been kind of cool with the Dutch. Regardless, they've always been like a secondary team for me. So yes, I'm 100% for the Netherlands. Why not? Let's go. Especially against the English and Selkat, who is, East Coast and West Coast America, saying, okay, he represents both. He's from the East, lives in the West, but he's saying, "Oh, Canada, he's ready." He's the reason why
we should have got the anthem. We should have got the anthem. Well, Sal gave us the idea for the thumbnail and the title.
Yes.
I'm sure
it doesn't take long to get. It can't take long to get no Canada.
Oh, you should have pregame for. We could have launched the stream, just going, the anthem and whatnot. So essentially, hopefully Max Verstappen's anthem is beating England the next match. But Dave, what do you want to start with before we drop the line? We'll go for like 2 or 3 minutes, throw the line in, get everyone in, because I know you've got to dash on out of here. You want to talk?
Yeah,
Copa?
I got a little bit. But
Euro or Copa? What do you want to do first?
I think we should talk. Let's talk Copa. Copa happened first, technically.
Okay.
Did it? Yeah, I guess it finished. It completed first. Let's say it that way.
No, actually, there's still a match in like 2 hours.
Oh, that's right. It did.
There's no quarterfinals aren't done yet.
I just want to talk about Canada, basically, is what it is.
Okay.
I was looking for an excuse. I don't need one. Let's talk Canada.
All right, fine. We'll talk about Canada. All right, Canada, Venezuela. Canada, I think outside of like a shithouse goal from Rondon, I thought Canada did quite well against a surging Venezuela team. Like, for example, as far as chance creation goes and shots, Canada looking juicy. Like, Canada had an expected of 1.65, 4 big chances, 16 total shots. Like, Dave, do you not understand the responsibility that Canada has? Because they can put Messi out of this tournament so I can be free of 15-year-old children wanking off a player that probably doesn't give a shit about them.
It's so much responsibility. It really is.
We lost Ronnie. Now I just need Messi to get knocked out so the internet, all things are perfectly balanced. I think Obsolete Enigma on Discord posted like all of the veteran players crying. If we can just get Messi added on there, we have the Infinity Gauntlet complete.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true.
That is the only thing we're missing.
That's a lot. That makes this so much more burdensome now that you put it in that context. Jesus Christ. Messi.
I'm just saying.
Messi's going down.
I would love to see it. I am all here for it. When it comes to
you a year for it. Yeah, that was just like the intro kind of.
Yeah,
I'm not going to play the whole thing.
He doesn't want the whole thing,
but you get the point.
He doesn't want Trudeau to come after us.
No, actually, he'd be happy, right? Because we got that C11, that nonsense where the algorithm has to push the Canadian content. So the more Canadian we are, the more I can appease my overlords.
Oh my goodness! Please don't jinx this. Argentina's going to get the Copa, and Messi's getting it. If he gets a Ballon d'Or for the absolute travesty he has produced at this Copa, like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my shit. If they give him a Ballon if he wins Copa, holy hell! Like,
sounds like church music. Doesn't all anthems sound like church music?
They all do.
They all do. But yeah, Messi is here for the Ballon d'Or, is he not?
Dude, it's just
get it. Ronaldo's not getting it.
Like, for example, unless your head is shoved up their respective asses, like Ronaldo did not. I'll cover him a little bit deeper in the actual Euro part of it, but Ronaldo did not look good. Messi looks like absolute dog shit. Mm-hmm. Like, this tournament, bro, come on, man, a Panenka and a penalty shootout, like, dude. The only thing I can think of that Messi attempted that kind of penalty is because fuck it, I got Martinez behind me because Martinez is gonna shithouse a penalty shootout win. Like Argentina to me have like the biggest cheat code in Martinez. Like, I don't think I've seen him lose a PK shootout. Like, you're speaking of Dutch, right? Tim Krul. Yeah, Tim Krul is Dutch. He is the modern day iteration of Tim Krul, because Tim Krul was the kind of guy that would just legit have like everyone. He was like one of the best penalty stoppers I've ever seen. I think Martinez is better than him. And it's like he is a mediocre goalkeeper when it comes to everything else, like effectively mediocre. But then it's like when it actually comes to PKs, he has some kind of dark magic or some voodoo where, like, when he was a kid, the person's like, you're going to be an average goalkeeper, but you're going to be an amazing penalty stopper. And he's just like, yes, okay. So that's going to be interesting because, like, for example, Canada to me is like another shithouse team where they can shithouse results or shithouse play in a sense and make it super frustrating for you to break them down. And Argentina is the same exact thing. Like, if you look at, like, for example, Argentina's roster, it's average. Like, it really is average.
It's not bad. I mean, when you're looking at Copa America standards, it's really not bad.
Copa America standards, that thing's world class. Like, that tournament is a joke to me. Like, the refereeing is a travesty, and they can't even afford. They can't afford goal line technology. They can't afford semi-automatic offside.
It's not great. I understand. But that's CONMEBOL. That's how they roll. What can I say?
LJJ says, I'm surprised why big clubs don't go for him, because two things: his attitude. One of the big off-putting things for the bigger clubs is his attitude, and also he isn't really good outside of PKs. Like, he's average. Like, he's like, I'm trying to think of like an average. Like, he's like kind of like a Mattia Parin. Like, for example, if you were to put Martinez in like big clubs, Martinez wouldn't see playing time. Martinez would probably be subbed in a cup game for penalty shootouts. Like, he's honestly Tim Krul. Like, that's honestly what Tim Krul was. Tim Krul was a backup goalkeeper. Wherever he played, whenever there's a PK shootout, he'd get subbed in. Hell, they did it against Costa Rica. Or was it Costa Rica? I think it was one of the teams in the 2014 World Cup. It was Costa Rica or Argentina, where they specifically subbed in Tim Krul for penalties. So that's honestly where I look at it.
You know who we did get from Aston Villa, though?
We did get her. She was part of a package deal.
Yeah. Well, who cares about the other guy?
Who the fuck's a Douglas Luiz? He's like, what the hell is a Douglas Luiz?
Who's Douglas Luiz? This is Alicia Lee we're talking about.
Who? So I'm curious to see how Canada makes out on this. In my opinion, I still think the winner of the Copa is going to be between, I think, Colombia and then the winner of Uruguay and Brazil. I think whoever's on that side of the bracket is going to win. Argentina just look lackluster. Yeah. I mean, it's just they just don't look good.
Is Colombia back? Do you think that?
Colombia's 26 matches unbeaten.
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't looked good, but then sure, we'll see. I mean, not a lot of teams. That's the thing. These big teams, Europe, South America, they haven't looked good, but they're still kind of like, look at England. They're the semis. How?
I think, honestly, this summer, anyone that hated Allegri is like eating their words now, because every team that we have seen in this like position besides Spain and Germany have all been Allegri balling.
Well, especially in the international stuff. Like, it's well known that internationally teams kind of default more so to just a more defensive play, unless you're like Georgia or something and you're just eating it because you got nothing to lose.
Or Turkey.
Yeah, I mean, Turkey did a pretty good job for what it's worth.
From looking at it from a consistency standpoint, from how the teams have performed, like, for example, Portugal, Allegri balled from the first game dude. So like, let's pivot to Portugal. You know, shout out to Canada. Hopefully they send Messi home crying.
Yeah. Nobody cares about the rest of Copa America. The
Copa America is a joke. The grass is terrible. The referees suck. And if Canada wins, I will be buying whoever gets the goal.
I gotta say though, I was looking because the thumbnail I used the stadium that they played in Canada and Venezuela. The stadium is a football. So cool.
Super cool. So whoever's the man of the match for Canada, if they beat Argentina, I'm buying his jersey and I'm framing it and I'm throwing it here, because
Are you gonna get like a Shuffleberg jersey or something?
I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care if it's. I don't even care if Buchanan comes back from his shattered tibia or fibia and gives a high five or something like. If he eliminates Messi, I am putting it on the wall. So I just need that.
That there's something to be said about that as well. With Tajon Buchanan being out with a broken tibia, sucks for Inter. But anyways, when Shuffleberg scored that goal, it was the 13th minute. It was pretty early on, anyways. And this kid, he's a kid. I think he's 18 or something. Super young. Just kind of just blew out. When he scored, he got Tajon Buchanan's jersey and paraded it around the pitch. That is locker room chemistry. And that's why when I say, we mentioned this last podcast, when, Chiesa in the locker room, just despite how good he is, doesn't matter how good he is. When you have a team that's locked in that tight, anything could happen.
That's Argentina. Honestly, that's Argentina. Like, I'm pretty convinced that most of those players suck Messi off in the locker room. Like, that's how lockstep they are with him. Like, I think they all have Messi tattoos on them.
But that's a toxic relationship we're talking about.
It is toxic.
I was talking about a positive one in the Canadian locker room.
They're winning.
Toxic Argentinian locker room.
Well, I mean, Portugal should have took notes, man, because, like, for example, to me, Portugal is going to be the next Belgium. And by that, I mean super great players, ranked really fucking high, but just as fucking consistency of losing.
They're still ranked third. How are they still ranked third?
It's gonna be.
What have they done?
Once Ronaldo leaves, that's gonna be Portugal.
No, I'm talking about Belgium. Belgium.
Oh, I know.
They're ranked third. Yeah,
they've done nothing. It's the same thing as Portugal.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching that Portugal-France game. Like, do these guys just not know how to pass?
I didn't even watch it. I was cutting the lawn when it was happening, and I was just falling asleep, head bobbing.
I'm convinced that Rafa Leao only knows how to run. Like, that's honestly all I've like. The amount of times like he would burn on the right or on the left side, like he'd cook and torch, and then you would wait for that final ball, and then it's just like not there. Like, I understand.
But here's the thing. Like, he's playing in Italy, right, where people are a little bit slower, right? He has that explosiveness. It's just like Kvaratskhelia, for instance, right? If you have that bit of explosiveness, you oftentimes are able to get past your defender. But he's playing against France in this case.
He was a bit different. I get that, but he was torching Koundé a little bit and like opening up separation and everything. So it's like, I'm like sitting there. I'm like, dude, you can easily throw like he could not pass into the center to save his life. João Cancelo had a couple of good movements, but it's just like same thing with Bernard. Like, this Portugal team has no idea how to pass into the middle. It's just kind of like, hey, let's see if our wingers get one-on-one and make something happen. Like, the way that this Portugal team plays with the players that they have, I'm just like astonished. Like,
I'm just like, we're talking about toxic locker room again. It's just like Messi, parallel Ronaldo, right? It's probably a lot of the same sort of chemistry.
No, I think they just spite him. Like part of me thinks that some of these players spite him.
But regardless, you have that one centerpiece that kind of dictates everything, whether it's a positive way, negative way, this way or that way. I think that's the problem, is you just have that big head in the locker room that sways everything.
Yeah, the difference is, though, I think the main difference is, I think Argentina, like all the players there love Messi, but like a good chunk of the players on Portugal hate Ronaldo's guts.
Yeah. But still, that's what I'm saying. It just focuses around one guy, positive.
Which is why I was kind of happy that they lost, because I'm like, okay, great. I don't have to, the Euro isn't about, will Ronaldo score his first Euro goal this tournament, this campaign? Like, I don't need to hear that anymore.
That's such a whimper, though, isn't it? The way he goes out, like his last international tournament. I don't know. Is he come back for the World Cup at this point? I don't think so. Probably not. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's where I'm looking at it as. I'm just like, dude. So for me, it's just like I can't wait until Messi gets knocked out by. I'm hoping he gets knocked out by Canada, because then I don't have to listen to like, oh, Messi absolutely outstanding, 15 goals in MLS, but apparently he can't fucking finish in Copa America to save his life. So like I can't wait. For me personally, I can't wait until both of them retire, so I don't have to hear about them ever again.
Have you seen that Adidas commercial? They're playing it at the Copa, and actually they've been playing it for the Euros for me as well. But it's a Messi commercial essentially, but at the end it's got Beckham.
Messi can't even speak English. Why is he on an ad?
He just does funny tricks.
Dude, I remember when they put him on the Michelob Ultra ad, the beer ad, he couldn't even speak English in that. He's like, Michelob Ultra. And that was his entire line, the entire commercial.
But maybe that's why David Beckham there. Maybe that was the agreement they've had, right? Because obviously Beckham owns him.
It's like WWE. It's like David Beckham is Lionel Messi's mouthpiece.
Yeah. He's just it's like don't worry, you're the commercial. I'll speak the line at the end. You don't have to say anything. Don't worry, Lionel. I'll talk for you. He's even got fucking Beckham cuckolded.
He does. Well, shit. I mean, he's like Messi practically owns Apple TV with the fucking revenue that was part of that contract. Sal coming in saying the only thing worse than Allegri out peeps are Berhalter alt guys. All I've been seeing is how they should have went for Marsh rather than giving props to Canada. See, I think though, like, because you and I talked about this and German Dave talked about it as well, right? Where we didn't like Berhalter, but we also didn't undersell Canada, right? Because like I think Canada has great players on their roster. I think Jesse Marsh just took them up to the next level. Dave's like focused.
Yeah, because this question, somebody's asking, does Lionel Messi have, I don't know, are these words we're allowed to talk about even? I don't know, Asperger's or autism. I just searched it up. Autism is what came up. There's no official diagnosis. I don't know, man.
He had a growth deficiency where he needed like growth hormones injected into him. I don't know what he has. But
yeah, I'm not going to speculate on that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yes. No. I don't know.
He might. Who knows? Who knows? They won't. It'll probably get released in like 40 years in an ESPN 30 for 30, like the same when they fixed the 2022 World Cup for him too, because for some reason he is the most pampered human being in footy. Yeah, I don't know. For me, the reason. So, like for example, Sal, the reason why I'm frustrated with Berhalter is like he had 5 years and like he hasn't been able to beat top 15 teams. Where like for example, Canada with the roster that they have, and it's like it's perfect, right? Like for example, Canada has a great roster. Like I don't understand where people sleep on Canada. Like
keep on sleeping, man. I'm fine with it.
Keep doing it. No, because like I was saying it when they played Argentina the first time. When they played Argentina in the group stages, I'm watching the first half. I'm like, fuck, how is Canada not in the lead here?
Do we want to do a watch along?
We might.
Should we? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Should we do Argentina, Canada watch along Tuesday night, 7 Eastern.
Tuesday night, 7 Eastern. That might be.
Can you swing it?
I think I could swing it.
All right, let us know.
I just need to get like a Canada shirt. I don't know where the hell I can buy one of those here. Well, I'm in Michigan, so Canada.
Yeah, you can.
It's like just drive to Windsor. Just go through Border Patrol. Hey,
all you have to do it's like it's prom. Like all the kids are out of school, right? So you just have to find some 18-year-olds coming across for 18-year-old liquor.
That's just creepy.
Well, yeah, it'll work. You get the liquor.
Just go to Windsor and just go in there and just buy a shirt. Come back. Border Patrol's like, hey, you were in Windsor for like 20 minutes. What gives? Dude,
just do the duty free.
I just needed a Canada shirt.
Just go to the duty free, man. Get a pack of smokes and some Canadian t-shirts.
Just hey, for the watch along, I'll just start I'll commentate all hosiery too. Just come in there. Oh, we got ourselves here. Jonathan David's here. He's moving the ball out perfectly well here. And then he absolutely bobs it at the end there because apparently he has the same finishing skills as Dusan Vlahovic.
They wouldn't even know who he was. Speaking of hoserness, did you see that Sidney Crosby? For those of you who don't know, he's probably the current greatest. Well, I mean, he's getting old and on his downturn, but like the greatest hockey player currently.
Well, 10 years ago, he's like the most hated hockey player, but go on.
But anyways, he was at the game. He shook hands. Of course, East Coasters have this weird thing, like people from Nova Scotia. They're like, oh, you're from Nova Scotia. They got this like weird, I don't know. Anyways, they're both from Nova Scotia. So they're like, oh, we're buddies. Yeah, we're athletes. So yeah, Sidney Crosby was there. So that's kind of cool that you get the crossover between the hockey and the footy. Why not? We're not just a hockey nation anymore, guys. And 4-down football.
4-down football.
Sorry, I had to throw that one in there. The CFL, by the way, has one less down than the NFL. I bet most of you had no idea that there was even a Canadian football that existed. But anyways, I digress. Euros.
So moving on in some of these matches. So this one was a spicy one. So we've got Turkish in the Netherlands, Turkey.
I enjoyed this game, actually.
I enjoyed it. it was actually pretty fun because I thought Turkey had whatever, all the tools they needed to finish it and equalize at the end, but just couldn't get that final touch in. The Dutch really kind of scraped away with this one towards the end, right? They were struggling. Like really, really bad. They were struggling this game. It's because they couldn't play De Ligt. That's why. De Ligt wasn't there. De Bench wasn't there. That's why they were struggling, because they didn't have the greatest defender of all time.
Didn't even think about him until now.
Sal sent me a quote that Chiellini said about De Ligt, and he said Chiellini said this. He was like, I didn't expect De Ligt to be benched this much with Holland and Bayern, but if different coaches make the same choices, there must be a reason. So that's I was gonna say, Chiellini has like the most pettiest side comments ever, because he's like, there must be a reason. As he's drinking his espresso too, like on the Fox News reports, he's like, he's got this little espresso cup, so he's like, I could just imagine him saying this and saying, there must be a reason. Like,
is that a scented candle?
It is a scented candle.
Oh boy,
it was the closest thing I could grab. I didn't have a coffee mug. Leave me alone.
Oh man.
No, but it's just like, it's funny because even Chiellini is just kind of like, you kind of suck.
Well, he would know. If anybody would know, he
mentored him. He technically mentored him. But this, just kind of like what Sal's saying in the comments, this Turkey, got to say it PC right now, they're going to be a problem, man. I think with the mix of youngsters and just kind of how they're rolling, and Montella has them playing perfect Haram Montella ball. I think Turkey might not just be a spark in the flame and die out after this tournament. We'll see what they do in the Nations League, but Turkey brought it, man. Like I was impressed, because initially when they gave up the second one, I thought Turkey mentally was just kind of like, fuck, we lost. But then they started, speaking of that, Chanalogo, man, that dude can fucking hit a ball anywhere. Like if I put a trash can 50 yards away, he's hitting that. Like some of the passes he was hitting. Same thing with Güler. Same thing with who came in for Yildiz. I think it's Artukologu. Like he was. Yeah,
I can't say Turkish names, so like I'm not helping you on this one.
Dude, yeah, Turkey's got a damn good pipeline, and this is what Turkey is doing that Italy has failed to do. Is you're playing players like Yildiz. You're playing players like Güler, like you're playing the teenagers, not.
So let's be honest then. The next Euros isn't like Italy, Turkey. It's Turkey, Italy. Like the hosts. It's Turkey with like little brother Italy. It's not Italy with little brother Turkey.
Yeah, because Turkey's hosted more Champions League and European finals than Italy has. The last one we had was like in 2016 with the San Siro. And that was before the San Siro started falling apart.
Yeah. So anyways, that was a little dig back at Italy.
I can't. I got to be careful. Sal catches me when I make those digs. He's very, very perceptive on those.
No, it's good. Actually, we need to. I'm hoping Sal's coming in. We're almost at the 30-minute mark, which means the lines are about to open.
Yeah, that's funny. 10 toes down. Turkey should be glad. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
That is pretty funny, guys. We forgot to say at the beginning, we're so bad at this, but please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. It's imperative. It keeps us going. It would. I check every day, every morning. I wake up. I'm like, how many people like my video? And I be like, no, it's going to be a bad day. So I want to have a good day tomorrow. All right. You gotta like the video, subscribe. Ferrari starting in 11th tomorrow. They're going to have a great day. Everything's going to be good.
You okay, buddy? Oh man. Hey, at least, three Englishmen finished in polls to
yeah.
But God,
I hope it rains like a motherfucker and it's just a mess tomorrow. Absolute mess.
That's pure spite. I love it. So we got to still cover Spain and Germany. So Spain practically sacrificed half their squad to win this game.
Yeah.
Like I'm dead serious.
Yeah,
it's like the Thanos scene at the end of Infinity War. Like it's just Spain is walking to whoever, and it's like, what did it cost? Everything. Was it worth it? Yes. Like Spain is like, dude, they are in so much trouble against France.
So like the non-Marvel term for that would be a Pyrrhic victory, where like you won, but was it really worth it? You lost everything. And that comes from the Pyrrhic Wars, which is Roman. That's like, I don't know, like 400 BC or some shit. That's history right there. Screw Marvel. You know what I feel about those guys. But anyways.
Yeah, because I think so. Fabian Ruiz is injured. Pedri is injured, so they're healthy scratches. Morata got an accumulation of yellow cards. He's suspended. Danny Carvajal got a red card. He's suspended. So they're essentially missing half of their squad against France. And with all due respect, because this is where I think Spain's tournament is over. The reason why I say their tournament is over is because they're playing against France. So with Nico Williams and Yamal, who are they playing against? They're playing against two of the fastest fullbacks in the game, and Teo Hernandez and Koundé. Both of them are great with pace. You saw Koundé with Leao, so Koundé's already used to it. So they are going to be essentially relying heavily on Williams and Yamal. You don't have Morata starting, so Morata's not facilitating play. You're going to be with Joselu, who's going to be starting. I don't know. I see that this is going to struggle. I think Spain is going to struggle. I think Deschamps, or as I like to call him, the French Allegri, has found ways to win without scoring a goal from open play this entire tournament. So just imagine once France starts opening and once Kylian Mbappe gets hot. The problem is
his face is broken.
His face is broken, but he's still
Mbappe's face break. He went off.
Mbappe had this side like touch shot that looked like a touch pass where I was like, I thought he was crossing it in and it ended up being a shot. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, this guy's got like, he can just walk and charge his FIFA shot meter to like 5 stars off rip without any. I'm like, what the hell is this?
No, he's obviously a mutant, but
he is a Ninja Turtle right now with that mask.
Yeah.
Kiliatello, as they would say. But I don't see, to be honest with you, with Spain missing their roster, I don't see them, because with Ruiz being injured, Pedri being injured, you have Rodri, and then it gets weird because, like, for example, you saw how Spain looked in the extra time, right? I think, honestly, I was shocked that Germany didn't pull that one off. I mean, granted, Rudiger pulled a Rudiger at the end there. I forgot that he was supposed to be marking somebody. And that person literally got a tap in off of him because Rudiger was busy marking the grass beneath him instead of the player behind him. But you saw how Spain looked, right? Spain looks very, very, very lethargic without.
And France doesn't. Louise. France is who is the most asleep? That's the question of the night. Who is the most asleep giant?
Well, it's because they didn't have Rabiot this game. That's why. They'll get Rabiot back and they'll play the most beautiful footy ever. It's got to be him. No, but the difference is Spain isn't good when they're lethargic. France thrives on the lethargy. Like,
listen, if France wins against Spain, it will be exactly the same way Italy beat Spain last time out in last year.
Oh, absolutely.
It would be the most terrorist ball ever. Just like they won against Portugal. Like how Didier Deschamps is the exact same profile, almost to a T, in terms of like terrorist murder ball as Allegri. It's the same exact approach. Yet, I don't know. We hate Allegri for reasons.
We do. But it's just the reason why I'm saying it is, like, you look at it, right? You have essentially, you're going to have Albedal, who's their backup right back, cover Mbappe, and then you have someone else that's going to be covering Osimhen.
The man, the myth, the legend. Sal, how's it going?
I'm glad I hopped in during this this portion of the chat, because I fully agree with Dash. I think France, they're like, especially their midfield, they're huge. And one thing that Germany did was they got very physical with Spain and knocked them off their rhythm. Except the big difference, I think France is bigger. I think they're more physical, and they haven't scored from open play, but guess what? They haven't conceded from open play either. So, and I think Spain's going to be hurting for depth, and I think Spain's just going to make this France is going to make this a very ugly game.
It's going to suck. I think this is going to be no different than the Portugal-France one in terms of entertainment value, which is like zero entertainment value.
And France has to score at some point. So
Eventually, they got her right.
and
What kind of record would that be if they won the tournament without actually scoring a goal from open play?
I wish I could do that. I'm jealous, actually.
Allegri would be smiling in a deep dark
Yeah.
corner somewhere.
And that's what I mean. Like, no Carvajal, like their defense is gonna be pretty exposed. You know, and yeah, like I said, I think, and I don't even think Rabiot's gonna start. I think Tchouaméni officially replaced him in the lineup. But even then, Rabiot coming on as a sub when Spain's probably trying to chase a winner, and then you know, just bodying people. You know what I mean? I think Olmo's gonna get marked out of this game. Conte's gonna cover a ton of ground, and I think in the end, Spain's not gonna have enough. And I'd say probably 60 minutes on to pull it out.
Yeah, I think defensively, right? Because you have Jesus Navas, who is 38 years old, who is their backup right back. And then you have Grimaldo, that I think Cucurella will play over. But you'll have Cucurella that's going to be playing up against Dembele. I'm pretty sure Dembele will start or play this match. Those two guys are going to be occupied. I think Lamal and Nico Williams are going to struggle with Koundé and Teo Hernandez because they both have pace and they both are extremely aggressive. William Saliba is probably the best defender in the tournament right now as far as center backs go. Spain not having Alvaro Morata in the middle is going to hurt them really bad. I think Rodri is going to struggle by himself because Fabian Ruiz, I doubt that he gets healthy unless he somehow miraculously gets healthy for the France game. Pedri is already a healthy scratch. So you're going deep into maybe Fernan Torres, maybe Dani Olmo, Oyarzabal, like maybe Marino. Like I don't know. Like they're gonna have to dig into something. But the problem is they're going up against Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Conte. And right now, like the earth is 70% covered by land, and the rest is covered by N'Golo Conte because Conte apparently covers practically everything on that field. So I have very big difficulties in seeing that Spain is going to win this game.
I think they're going to get beat up. It's just like they said, perfect, pure victory, right? They did everything they could just to get past Germany, but they might have had a chance maybe against Portugal. I think, even though Portugal's defense did pretty well as well, Pepe was kind of playing out of his mind. But I mean, these guys are beasts. You look all over that France lineup from the midfield all the way to the defense, and they're monsters.
Yeah,
they really are. And when does Spain usually struggle against what kind of types, right? Against Chiellini types. You know what I mean? Just like King Kong, just coming in. Like these guys are. It's going to be scary. I really think Spain's up against it.
Yeah,
you know,
and the other thing too is like, for example, what else do Spain struggle against? Really pacey wingers, shifty wingers, Insigne and Chiesa. Like when Italy played them 3-4 years ago, that was one of the things that Insigne and Chiesa were giving Spain issues on the fullback position, and I think, you know, it's only a matter of time before Mbappe turns it on. And
I mean, one of those guys can't even walk right now.
It's only a matter of when, dude. Because Mbappe, like in the World Cup, was kind of in the knockout stages, turns it on in the final. So I don't know. I have very, very difficulty in buying Spanish stock right now. I think right now it's probably going to be a France going into that side, and for the love of God, I hope it's the Netherlands.
Seriously,
we've turned into a Netherlands channel. Canada, Netherlands. That's it.
Because watching that game, the Switzerland-England game, I would say that Mr. Center Back should never take penalties ever again for the rest of his career. What was it? Akanji. That's who it was. Akanji should never take penalties again. And if it really wasn't for Mr. Saka taking an absolute banger from the outside like that, I think they would be going home. I thought Switzerland played decently well. I thought they created good chances.
They were dangerous on the crosses.
Absolutely.
They were giving England fits.
Yeah, and that kind of goes to show how difficult this English team is to break down. like ridiculously difficult.
Is it because they're playing some sort of version of Allegri ball?
Everybody is at this point. Everybody's playing Allegri ball. This whole tournament is Allegri
Yeah.
ball.
Two of the four finalists. That's really how they got there.
It's
I mean,
becoming
four
in vogue
semifinalists.
again, right? Like
Yeah.
it's. I think they overextended themselves. All these teams, there's a couple that were able to pull it off, like Man City, for instance, Real Madrid, all the money that they have. But it became, obviously, we'd like to say it's hipster football, right? It's nice. I mean, FIFA is probably, like, the video games probably made it so appealing, right? So accessible. It's like, oh, I want to look this way. And like only two teams in the world are able to do it. And maybe PSG in the Farmers League there. But finally, I think people are just like, no, screw it. This is stupid. Why are we trying to appease all these lemmings in the world? We're just going to play our football. And I'm sorry, but I mean, this is it. We want to win. We don't care about what some 12-year-old dude on Twitter thinks is pretty football.
I mean, that's what it is, right? You set up shop, right? And then, I mean, that was really Allegri ball itself, was you set up shop and then you rely on the quality of the players to make the difference. You know, obviously Max's last couple of years, he didn't have that second part of it. So it was a lot harder to come across, but that's exactly, that's why I was saying, you know, like sometimes it's kind of, I can see where it's frustrating when you see the level of quality that you wish that they would do that, right? But then there's other teams where that's the only way they can actually, like, you cover up for their deficiencies, right? That's why I was like, hey, having Max, you know, on this, I think he would have done better with this team than Spalletti has done, because he could do more with less. So I can see why certain people, though, when they see a France team or you know, English players, when they're like, oh my God, like, I could see where they do it, but that's what you have to do to get to this point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's fun watching Georgia. You know, it was cool seeing them go ahead every time they had the ball. You know, you're like, they had a chance maybe for something to happen, but guess what? Then, you know, you got four scored against you or something like that, right? I mean, it just kind of is what it is. Some people are there just to kind of make an impact. And, you know, like I said, Turkey, like, I was actually surprised they defended as well as they did for a good portion of the game, until Netherlands really just, you know, put the screws on them and just, and like wave after wave after wave of pressure. But you need to withstand those waves to get to the semis, to get to the finals. And the only way you're going to do that is by being defensively, like, fundamentally sound. And it's what everybody say, oh yeah, France has to score from open play, but, you know, football is made up of offense and defense, right? There's two phases to the game. Each are equally important. But guess what? The team that doesn't score against you is not going to win. So, and then you can hope for PKs in the end. So in a way, I say it even tilts a little bit more on the defensive side, especially in these kind of tournaments, for sure.
All right. I'm going to answer this question here before I hop off. It's getting noisy up there. My wife decided to invite people over. I'm pretty sure there's a child in my living room. I don't know if you hear it, but it sounds like there's a freaking child. And I did not know that there was going to be children tonight. So kind of upset. But anyways, Bowman's asking or saying, congratulations, Canadians, who will play you in the final game. And how's it going, Bowman? Good to see you again. After we beat Argentina, it's got to be Uruguay or Brazil. It's hard to say which one between the two, but
I really hope Brazil gets knocked out, just so we have all our players in Retiro.
Okay, you know what? Let's say Uruguay. Yeah, Uruguay. There you go.
He's like, I need my Dougie back. I need my Dougie Louise.
Get them all there. Mota's going to be there tomorrow, I heard. Let's get them all there.
It's not going at all.
I hear Mota's gonna go to the Contenasa just to tell Chiesa's agent that his player is a bum.
Just, oh my! Beppe put something out there, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. He put a tweet out. I should have shared it, where he was talking about how Turkey performed, and then at one point he was like, you know, he goes, you don't see, you know, these young, hungry players who are just thrilled to play for their national team bitch about where it being played out of position. You just play and you do the most that you can. And then he put in parentheses, yes, I'm talking about Italy. But what I really think he meant to say was, yes, I'm talking about Chiesa.
Well,
I'm not going to put words in his mouth. This is me speaking, you know.
But it's kind of, and I think that's where, like, for example, and you know, you guys want to just get into the transfer thick of it now? Because I think we're good on the Euros, right? Let's
All
get
right,
into
I'll
some
hop
Euro.
out at that natural break then, and then
All right.
save you guys from the screaming children.
We can't even hear it, so your mic's not even picking it up. So I wouldn't even worry about it.
I guess it's just me. It's just me that has to deal with it then. Okay. Well, guys, the lines are still open to join. So I mean,
yeah,
if you wanna get in,
absolutely.
fill my hole. You got to fill my hole.
How many inches are we going? How many inches you did?
I'm not gonna. At this point, you can't be too picky.
All right, here we go.
All right, guys. Sorry, I have to cut this one
Dude,
short.
I'm gonna do this one the old Canadian try there, right? Go in
All
there and
right.
just bucker it in deep.
Oh Jesus! All right. Well, at least we're going out with a bang. Dash.
How's
Sal,
she going,
thank you. Oh, I'm sure this will be fun without me. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good night.
See you later, dude.
I can just imagine the both Daves watching the replay of this, and like I could see German Dave calling Dave saying, "You let him do what?"
Poor German Dave. I was hoping to at least be able to console him a little bit. Tell him, come on over with the rest of us.
Yeah, the water's warm. It's all right. He's taking his frustration at a dart tournament.
On a dartboard.
I was like, make sure you don't hit anybody with it.
He's just putting it through the board into the wall.
So I think the natural progression, and based off of LJJ's comment, is I think we need to talk about Mr. Chiesa, right? So this morning, I think you and I both posted at the same time. We both hit send at the same time. In the Discord, Roma and Juve have reached an agreement for 20 million plus bonuses, and to subsidize that, his agent Fall Ramadani went to talk at the Continasso with Giuntoli, and Giuntoli's like, yeah, we don't want him. He's out. Like, you need to go find your player another club. So I think Giuntoli did 20 plus bonuses with Roma. However, the woodwork is saying that Chiesa has rejected it because he wants to play in the Champions League. And my natural response to that is, bro, nobody wants you. Man United wants him, not in the Champions League. Roma, and I think the numbers came out with Roma, what they were offering him, $5.5 million a season. So
I think just might have right around what he might be. I think he's on like 4.5 to 5-ish. He's like right on that cusp, and that's what Juve offered him for a bridge year, basically. Yep. They offered him same terms, and they said, okay, hey, let's do it. And for whatever reason, he thinks very highly of himself, and he said he was going to prove it at the Euros. And well, here we are. So,
well, it's ironic because, like, for example, there's no one really there that wants him.
No.
Like, for example,
and they know, like, they know he's on a year, and they'll just be like, but to Juventus's credit, like, they're not going to sell him for a loss, and nor should they, by the way, so it's like, hey, you did this to yourself, pal, so you're going to stay benched because we're not gonna make any plus valenza on you, or you're gonna go play at Roma and hope your knees hold up. So
play cards with Dybala at the Roma medical facility.
That was a great comment. I forgot who put that. That was amazing. I was laughing for a while.
I think that was Oscar.
It could have been. Yeah, it could have been. It was great.
Somebody.
Whatever
it
was.
It was a great comment. Oh, that made me die laughing. I saw that this morning, and I was just laughing my ass off so damn hard. But well, and it kind of goes to show because, like, for example, I was having this conversation on Discord. I think it was the news with Chris, right? So because they were suspectively, it's been debunked, but originally Tammy Abraham was looking to be a backup to Dusan, which personally, again, I don't mind because I think you need someone to challenge Dusan to start per se. Because I'm heavily convinced with Chiesa out the door, Dusan is going to be the next person out next summer. The reason is
on those wages,
and then, like, for example, what I've kind of grown to just while reading and just kind of understanding and watching some film, Motta doesn't want a 20 to 30 goals scoring striker, right? Motta wants to do kind of like, how like certain teams in the NFL have running backs by committee, run game by committee. He kind of wants to do the goal scoring by committee. Because, like, for example, what I'm suspecting is when he does, say that Coop comes in, He wants Coop, and then whoever's going to be his true number 9, because that 9 is going to be like a 9/10 hybrid. Like, for example, Xerxes is going to be that's the ideal candidate, right? That's what he would want. I'm not saying that Tammy is, Zerk level, but like Tammy has certain attributes that are similar to that, right? And I think that's where he would want something like Tammy. But I think the striker position, I think Mota is still not, I think he'll make do with what Dusan has, and he'll see if Dusan adjusts this year and if he adapts or not. But if he doesn't, I'm more than likely to incline that I think he's going to sell him, because what I'm assuming is going to happen tactically is Coop Myers and the striker will switch positions depending on how the flow of the game is going on the pitch. So, like, for example, because Coop is able to cover everything from an 8 to a 9 to a 10, he wants his striker to be a 9/10 hybrid, where the striker can switch with Coop Myers depending on the flow of the game and become that, that number 10, while Coop Myers becomes a false 9 in a sense. So I think he wants, because the one thing that I've looked at and I've tried to understand more so with the moves and the players that he's requested, Moto wants tactical versatility. Like, the players that he is bringing in, he wants them to play multiple positions. So, like, for example, Dougie Luis can practically play anywhere on the midfield. He can play as a deep lying midfielder. He can be playing as a more advanced midfielder. And he actually has the capabilities to do both, not, what the fans say about Loka. Same thing with Kefren Thuram, right? Thuram can play practically anywhere on that midfield. So when I look at it, and then it's like, again, Coop Myers, right? Need I say more? Coop Myers can play anywhere on the attacking third on that side of the pitch. So one of the reasons why, again, Chiesa is being touted as leaving is because Chiesa is a out and out winger, and that's it. There's no versatility, no flexibility there whatsoever. One of the reasons,
and he's a kind of a box to box guy too.
yes,
Like, he's head down. Sometimes he'll try to cut in, but he doesn't really he doesn't have a good sense tactically, I think, of where his teammates are going to position themselves. By the time he already looks up, it's
over.
Either their guys are already cut. Right, exactly. And yeah, like you said, Mota I think he wants to spread out the goals, right? He wants, not like what we got from our midfielders last year, which I think was, I don't even, what, three goals maybe from
I think
midfield last
3
year.
to 4.
That's not going to cut it with the Mota, style play. And not even that, you're also thinking, if we get a Sancho, right? And you have Yildiz on the other side, guys who can cut in, take on their man, right? Eat up. You're expecting there to be a lot more space. And from what I also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mota's not a big cross into the box kind of guy, right? So you're going to be seeing a lot more direct play, which is going to be weird for us.
Yeah, it's extremely weird, right? Yeah. No, for example, with him, it's more so, again, it's linear passes, diagonal passes across the area. Essentially, it's drawing players, finding gaps in spaces. There's not really much where it's take Kostic out wide, and if he hits the guy in the ass, have him cross again. It's not kind of it's the complete opposite of that. Because I'm looking at the stats right now for Bologna. So Xerxes got 11 goals, Orsolini got 10, Ferguson got 6, Fabian got 5, Salamakers has 4, and then it's 4 or 5 players that are tied with 2 goals. So throughout all of their goals that they've scored, again, it's by committee. There's not really much of a standout per se. So for example, with us, it would probably be Dusan, Yildiz, Sule, because I'm assuming that Sule is going to stay. And then it's going to be maybe Coop Myers and then Douglas Luis. Those would be essentially those are the players.
I'd expect Coop and Dusan to be pretty level in terms of
goal scoring.
Goals, and then Coop Myers, I think, will probably also have the goal contribution, right? So I can see Coop Myers being more like a 12 to 15 goal assist guy.
Yeah, I would 10 and 10 would be easy, right? I think it would be 10 goals, 10 assists.
Love it.
It'd be perfect,
right? Right? Yeah, I would. But it's like you said too. It's especially with Sancho. To me, there's just Yildiz isn't a very pacey winger for me. He's not right. So he's more get the ball to him and then let him kind of work his magic. Where you're going to be having a lot of speed on that other side of the pitch. And Coop's an engine. Like, that guy can he's everywhere, which is why they're willing to spend $50 million on him. I think a lot of people are also like, let's not go for Coop. Let's get Calafiori. I'm like,
I think,
like what kind of what?
I think because, like, for example, and this is, and it might be like, for example, you might have like the Italian bias, right? Like, he's an Italian center back, and
I could care less, man.
Because that's what I'm thinking on social media, right? Because everyone's like, Coop Myers is like a 25 million euro player at best. I'm like, ooh, no, he is not. No, he is. Because, like, I saw, like, it was like an exchange on Twitter where they're like, why would we overpay for Coop Myers? I'm like, you're technically not overpaying. You might be for a smidgen, but, like, for example, 50 mil is what I think he is. Yeah.
The reason why I think we're even able to want to pay a little bit more, say like an extra $5 million, is because he fits so well into what Mota wants to do. And he's one of the few guys at Atalanta who I think can recreate his form at Atalanta outside of Gasparini's system. Whereas most of the other Atalanta guys, that's what gives me I always kind of pause a little bit, because I'm like, I think they're more of a system type player as opposed to transferring those skills with another coach with another formation or what have you.
Well, yeah, and like, for example, Coop Myers' main trait is his engine. His engine is the big thing. So, like, for example, it doesn't matter what system you go into, you're gonna have that. Same thing with Douglas Luiz, right? Douglas Luiz has an engine. So what Malta, to me, like, for example, and I covered this with Misak on the video where we're looking at it. We want
video, by the way. Great video.
Glad you like it. It's on YouTube, guys. If you haven't seen it, just go on the channel page, take a peek at it, and we try to break it down, get a little bit more technical on how we're expecting them to play. But I understand, like, for example, a lot of folks are up in arms where it's like, we need a center back because of Bremer's interview. Bremer might leave and blah, blah. I'm like, guys, you gotta stop taking interviews so damn literally.
Yeah.
Please.
A lot gets lost in Google Translate, by the way. Just so you know.
If Juve are winning titles and being competitive, why would Bremer want to leave if he's starting for that team?
Yeah.
Like, come on, people.
And this is another thing about Chiesa that kind of irked me. Whereas with Bremer, it's kind of the exact opposite, right? If you see the team making all these upgrades, like, this Mercato is wild.
Oh, absolutely.
I haven't seen this many big moves in such a short period of time. And even like Marotta's heyday. This was wild. That many, where you're basically reconfiguring a vast portion of, like, he's totally revitalizing our midfield, which has been a sore spot for us for I can't even recall how long, right? Where
half a decade.
And you're selling fringe players for actual profit, like a Felix Correa. I forgot he was even on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Getting Sule out for as much as we did, like these Moise Kean, you know what I mean? Like, other guys would have just got rid of them and took the losses. But with this, what's going on right now is why Bremer sees he's like, this team's getting good, like, and I'm here for it. Whereas Case is like, oh, you're not giving me what I want, so I'm not happy here, and I'm going to go. Like, dude, look at the potential that's brewing here, and you don't, at least for 1 year, you don't want to try to, like, up your game, up your market value, go somewhere else if you really want to. If after a year with Mota, you feel you're not there, but these guys are going to make you look better. Like, you're going to have more to work with.
Yeah.
But like you said, tactically it doesn't work. And you know why? What did we say so far? Coop, Luis. What did we say about those two guys? Even Thuram.
Engines.
And you know why? You know what type of, like, gameplay you're going to need an engine for? Pressing. Mota's going to make you press the shit out of these guys. He's going to make you press forward. When you lose possession, you're going to be pressing back. There is going to be none of this, like, sit back and wait. Like, if you lose the ball, like, recovery time like this,
you get your ass on it. Yeah.
You're going to get your ass handed to you, but you also need to consider he wants you to pressure. Like, think about what Mota did to us. What was it, the last game of the season or the second to last game of the season? Think of those first, 15, 20 minutes where it was an absolute disaster, where these guys were just swarming us to a point where we gave 2-3 goals. Like, that's what you'll probably see a lot more of. It just will be on the opposite side.
Yeah, and with better
with
players.
this personnel. Exactly. Like Giuntoli's given Mota everything he wants. It's crazy. Like how much he's backing this coach.
I know, and honestly, like I wasn't expecting this, right? Like I was a cynic. I was like, oh, Giuntoli's gonna probably do like a conservative window, but I guess he just really fucking hated Max.
Well, and also, but think about it like this too, right? Like he made a bold move doing what he did with Max, right?
Oh yeah.
Whereas, like, now he's under pressure. We talked about this well in the beginning, before like right after this whole thing happened with Max, where we're like, well, Mota's your guy. If Mota falls flat on his face,
That's on you.
It's on you. So he's just as motivated to give Mota everything that he needs, because like his face is on it. Like this is his team. Like these are the guys he got for him. And yeah, obviously Mota's like the coach. You're gonna see him on the touchline, but this is Giuntoli's. It's his coach. It's his team. It's his players. And so far, a hell of a, like I said, hell of a. And if we wind up getting Sancho and Coop, like. Who is this team? Like, I have no idea what I'm going to see.
Could you? Yeah, that's so like for example, if you were able to essentially like you sell Chiesa and you use that money and get Jadon Sancho, like that's a huge upgrade.
Yeah,
that's a huge upgrade.
Yeah. And it brings neutral eyes too, because it was a English national, right? It's going to bring some of the Prem heads over.
No, I was going to say, yeah. Could you imagine?
Guys, some more casuals.
Juve,
casuals.
Yeah, Juve becomes an English sweetheart because Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, and if Sancho does well enough that he works his way back onto the English national team, like who's getting credit for that? What team are you going to be hearing a lot more of? You're going to be hearing a lot more Juve. You know what I mean? Because it just is. It sucks. It is what it is. But I mean, that's the case. And guess what? Like we still don't have a sponsor.
No.
You start bringing those kind of players in, like maybe we'll get that 40 million that we're looking for, right? As opposed to people lowballing us for mid-20s.
Goddamn,
and these players are
Plus.
Yeah, right. I think it was Riyad Air that even tried to lowball it. It's bad when freaking Riyad Air's trying to lowball you. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? This isn't Ryanair we're talking about. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's going to be a very. I don't think we've seen this in a while, because Juve's the team always getting pressed.
Mm-hmm.
How frustrated are we? Like, how predictable are we? Where it's like, hey, you want to cause these guys issues? Press the shit out of them. And we see it all the time, and you can't pass through the press. And it's just, it's probably the most frustrating thing that we've seen. And you can't break the press unless you have quality. So, and we haven't had quality.
Yep.
Especially in the midfield.
That was always the secret. That was always the secret in the sauce. Like, for example, when we went to the Champions League final, that both instances, right? We had an elite midfield, Pjanic, Sami Khedira, Marquisio, and then Pirlo, Pogba, and them. Yeah. Like it was mostly that.
You had technique. You had the Pirlo-esque technique. You had the phenom playmaker dribbling type in Pogba, and you had the destroyer in Vidal.
Yep.
And that's how I see. Like I see Kefram or Luis can play that destroyer part. You know what I mean? Whereas Luis actually has vision. The guy takes free kicks. He takes corner kicks. He can cut through a defense. He can unlock defense. It's like, oh, okay, so now you're trying to press. Well, boom, here I go. Here's a through ball catching Coop, in stride, or a Sancho where you're just completely bombing forward, right? These are the kind of things that I think are going to give some teams fits. I would say it wouldn't quite put us, I think, at Inter. I think Inter might still have a bit more quality.
They've got established. It's been established for seasons now, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, they're an incumbent. It's always like right now, Juve, whether people want to admit it or not, Juve are the new kids on the block. Like, they are the new kids on the block. You've got,
especially with this roster.
Yeah,
these guys got to get to know each other. It's going to take a little while.
It's going to take some time. And to be honest with you, like, for example, they're players coming from different leagues. Like, hypothetically, Coop is the only one that's, coming in per se, that's in Italy. But, Sule needs to get adjusted to everybody. Like, Dusan needs to get adjusted. It's going to be an adjustment.
Kefren's coming over from Nice, right? Like, you have a Prem guy. You got Ligue 1 guy. You know what I mean? The other guys, like you said, are still new. Like Yildiz hasn't gotten a ton of playing time with Dusan. Yeah. Soleil's been gone for a year. And if we get Sancho, same thing. Hopping from Prem to Bundesliga to Serie A, and then again, we still have to, I mean, if we want to get in Kior now, he's played with Malta, so I'm not too concerned with that. But the one thing I still haven't seen yet, although I've seen some links are our fullbacks. Still don't know yet what to see from our fullbacks.
My fingers are crossed. I'm hoping we get Mitai. I think Mitai would be ridiculously cheap.
He's been linked, and then I also saw that other kid from Man City.
Yes, the Brazilian.
Yeah, but he's more, from what I understand, he's more of a Cancelo type fullback.
Mm-hmm.
Defense isn't really, but that's the cool thing though, because you don't need both of your
fullbacks to be fully
to
defensive.
Right, exactly. And you're going to have you're going to have a Thuram, you're going to have a Luis that can provide that cover for you while you're bombing forward.
Well, and then again, if you're doing a press-esque system, right, you're not relying on that defender. Like if you're rarely sitting back, if you're in a state of a press where you're not really going to be dependent. And if worse comes to worse, again, you have where he interchanges with one of the midfielders. So I'm not, because like I saw them people like, oh, he only just stays up and doesn't. I'm like, I don't think that matters.
No.
Like, I don't.
Well, it's kind of like Spain, right? Think about it like this: what did you really? You never really saw them too much in defensive hardship. Why? Because they always swarm the ball.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what you're going to see. Your defense is really going to be your possession and your press. Kind of, you're either going to be pressing forward or you're just going to be kind of holding steady. And then every once in a while, when they do break through, you have that back line and those two midfielders that are really going to provide you, a lot of coverage. You're going to be able to have like, okay, so if everybody's going up, you'll be able to transition to, 4 or 5 guys at the back rather quickly.
Yeah,
if you have to.
And again, it goes to show, like, for example, with the Brazilian right back and even with Mitai, right? They're both possession-based fullbacks that they can hold the ball, transition the ball, and move the ball. And I think that's what he's going towards. I think, though, I got to tip my hat to Gentili for one thing, right? I think Gentili did a phenomenal job not caving in to Calafiori, like the demands that Bologna had for Calafiori.
No.
Because
you can't.
Because, like, for example, Paratici or Carabini would have done it. They would have been like, yeah, here's 50, because we paid 60 for Chiesa.
Yeah.
It was 20 million and a 40 million option back then.
Yeah, we overpaid for Bernardeschi.
Yep.
We overpaid for Locatelli.
So I think, because, like, for example, I think it's good that they're able to, like, for example, Calafiori, again, he has the tangibles, but, like, for example, for one season for him to skyrocket up to 50 million like that, and then it's just kind of like, so it's on Calafiori, because, like, I had a hunch and I had a suspicion that Calafiori wouldn't move this summer. So if Calafiori really wants to go to Juve, you sit there for a year and you see, what happens. Unless, if he goes to Arsenal, then you kind of know where his thoughts are. But I don't think, like, for example, I think we'll be fine in that regards. Even if we were to get Kiwar, I think we'd be fine. Yeah. I'm not too concerned.
And you have to think about it like this, like, also it was, where did we need the most help? It wasn't midfield. Our defense was not that big of a problem for us last year. It wasn't the most immediate need. For me, it was, in my head, it was midfield, fullbacks if we're going with formation change, right? And even like, your front wasn't that great, but everything goes through the midfield. Everything. I'm sorry, like, you need a solid midfield if you're gonna be considered a serious club. Like, the midfield you work from like the midfield if your defense is already there, right? It's always like midfield, defense, and then you kind of go forward.
Yeah,
and we needed that.
Yeah, and a great midfield can mask team deficiencies. Like, for example, you cannot tell me in full confidence that Inter's back line is elite. Inter's back line is skeptical at best. I've always thought it was skeptical. The only reason why Inter is successful defensively is I thought that their midfield was able to mask a lot of the deficiencies that their back line had, because
same thing with Napoli the year before. Oh, Kim Min-jae, best Serie A defender. How'd that work out for Bayern?
Not that
right?
Well.
Exactly, but they had their midfield that year was very, very good. They had a solid midfield.
Yeah, and that's where it is. I think midfields are able to mask a lot of team deficiencies. Like, you could say the same for Real Madrid as well. Like, Real Madrid, their center backs aren't the greatest of all time, right?
Rudiger, case in point. You saw it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's, the thing is, the issue was last season was our defenders were making more passes than our midfielders were.
Yep.
So it's like, Bremer was your main regista last season, and Bremer's not a regista.
No, he's not. And we couldn't we couldn't string consecutive passes together. You just couldn't.
Yeah. Well, and then it kind of goes down with D-Gray too. D Gregorio as well. D Gregorio can facilitate and move the ball well as well too. So like, for example, the amount of avenues, the way that this attack, like I'm not saying that Juve's offense is going to be like, Man City on steroids
and
or
neither
something
was
like that.
Monta's, right? Juve, I think at the end of the year, Juve and Bologna, their goals
Neck and
scored.
neck, yeah.
Yeah, and not even that, their net goals were very, very similar.
Yep.
Right? They were very similar. And so it's like you said, that's not the point. But the thing is, you have to be a lot more careful as an opposition player this year of pressing Juve as much as you've done in the past.
Yeah,
that's where I think the danger is going to lie, and I think that's where we're going to see the biggest improvement in this team in terms of the eye test, right?
exactly.
Technical ability and what have you.
I think, like, for example, if everything falls like it should, right? If you get the players, so I'm going to say, say that we get Kiwar as your center back, say that we're running Cambiaso, say that we convert Gatti into a right back, as well as, like, for example, you get Jadon
or even
Sancho.
Danilo, right? Because if you get Kiwar, where's Danilo? Danilo probably wind up going as a fullback.
He could, right? He's been doing it with Brazil.
He does it for Brazil.
Yeah, he does it for Brazil. So, hypothetically speaking, right? So let's say that would
Luis be, I think, covering him too on his side, because those two will have a very good understanding as well.
Yep.
Right. So he'll be providing cover for Danilo if he needs it, which I think at this point in Danilo's career, that's what he will need.
Yeah, and he'll need it as well for sure. But I'm thinking, like, for example, Coop Myers, Sancho, if all these players, like, if he's able to get all of these guys, the amount of packages Juve can attack teams with, it's so damn difficult. And then also Jello, we forgot about Jello as well, as LJJ is mentioning it too. So like the amount of versatility that Juve will be able to come at different teams with, like, for example, Motta's going to be playing pragmatic, but would just because of the versatility and the different packages he can give you, it's almost like, for example, I'm trying to think of it as well as like another way to put it. Like, it's like, for example, the Lions offense, right? They had so many different ways they could hit you with, you didn't know what to expect. It's not like, for example, like you don't have, Bernardo Silva's, you don't have like maestros on the ball, right? You have very capable individuals that know how to come in at different areas, different angles. So it's like the more and more I look at it, the more and more it's like Juve want to get away from that individualistic sense, right? Where they kind of want to be where it's like we have a foundation that we can hit people with. It's like, for example, Carlo Ancelotti has this, right? Where Carlo Ancelotti sets up like hey, this is how we line up. This is kind of the base that we do, and we'll go at it this way, and then opens the door for individuality. Like, for example, Juve the prior seasons were more so, can Chiesa cook up something? Can Dusan cook up something? Can Kostic just loft balls into the box and hope we get behind it? That was kind of what it is, right?
If Chiesa didn't get in his way. But yeah.
Yeah, if Chiesa didn't run into Kostic's ass. But that was kind of what the dependence was, where it's like, for example, now it's like with Motta and with the players, because you need the personnel, right? You need guys that are able to make plays and do things like that. Where I think now Motta's like, okay, we're going to have 3 players here. One of these guys has to score. Like in Motta's scheme, I have a triangle of players at the edge of the box. I have a 33% chance that one of these guys is going to do something. And that's
actually latch onto a ball.
Exactly. And then that's where it is, right? And then that gives you that's being established. And then you have the capability of the individual brilliance. Because, like, for example, Motta's, I'm not saying that they're average players at Bologna, right? But he's going to be coaching a higher caliber players of Juve. So he's got more wild card capabilities. I think the issue is and I think this is where Chiesa shot himself in the foot was, unfortunately, Chiesa, you're not flexible, man. Like, you going on the news, making these quotes, I need to see who the new coach is. I need to see what formations he plays and yada, yada, yada. Motta saw that and was like, dude.
Yeah, no.
Kick rocks.
No, you just don't need, and I hate to say it, but like, I guess that's kind of one of the drawbacks as far as having like a legacy player, right? Because, I don't know for people who don't know, but Chiesa's dad was an Italy international as well, Enrico. I think just having that kind of sense, I'd like to say, I don't want to be too harsh, but like a little bit of a sense of entitlement,
Mhm.
like, oh no, like that's not, I know my worth or what have you. Like that's not going to work. Like I think Max actually protected Kesa. Like people would always say, oh, Max, ruined Kesa. I think
I think he
Max
protected
covered
him.
Kesa. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I really, and he tried to say like, hey, look, like unfortunately, like I have to go 3-5-2 with this team, but I'm going to put you closer to goal. You know how many offensive players wish that they got to play closer to goal, next to the main striker, right? So I don't like people were like, oh, that's like a death sentence. To me, it was like, hey, I'm giving you an opportunity here to bag more goals,
Yeah.
and it
Raised-
didn't work because you didn't stay where you were supposed to most of the time. So
Well, ironically, right, where it's just like if Chiesa was able to do that and Italy was able to play that 3-5-2 in the Euro, I think he would have had a better tournament.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think that it was, and part of me is also kind of going back and thinking, in hindsight, where it's like I think Spalletti caved into Chiesa a little
I
bit.
think he caved into a bunch of players. Right, and then you also heard like a lot of people weren't happy that Fajoli got called up because they think he's a snitch, which
Yeah.
we talked about that I think over a year ago. Where hey, this
Mhm.
is going to be his cross to bear, right? He's going to have to make amends with certain people. But this Italy team does not have an embarrassment of riches where you can say I don't want a technically gifted player on this squad because we're not there, not even close, right? And being, you would think like having a Buffon there, having a Spalletti, like they would nip that in the bud, like, hey, we're gonna get him to talk to whoever he needs to talk to like quell any sort of like locker room stuff, But yeah, it's just I think that the era of coddling players at Juve, I think is pretty much done, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, same for me.
You
Like
know?
originally I wasn't a fan of how Max was done, but I kind of had this argument, right, where it's like, okay, Gentoli, if you're doing this to Max, then I'm expecting you to do this to everyone else as well.
Mhm.
So I think he stood firm on it. So look, hey, then
Yeah.
he's proved me wrong because I was concerned. Because my biggest concern that I had at the time how Max was fired was that, oh God, he fired Max. He's gonna coddle Chiesa. But then it's like the
Yeah.
moment where it's like Motta's like, hey, I don't want him. You need to respect my wishes. And then Gentoli's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, well,
No problem.
that's it. Mota is his guy, right? So if Mota's going to be like, hey, this guy's causing, I benched him because of whatever, he's not hustling enough, or his attitude sucks, right? I don't see Giuntoli being like trying to talk him out of it, right? Which will give Mota the authority that he needs to impose his vision on the club. Like, look, club first, right? If I think you're best served here and you don't like it, like then you either need to go or you need to adjust because this is where I'm going to play you, and that's it. Like, and that's what we need, and that's what we need to do. And also, another thing I got to give Giuntoli credit for is like I was looking at Juve's wage bill from last year, assuming Rabiot doesn't re-sign, and assuming we get rid of Chiesa, which both look
More than
very
likely.
likely, we have shed 4 of our top 6 salaries from last year, which is huge, right?
Yep.
This is also taking into account the Tech's probably leaving. No Tech, no Sandro, no Chiesa, no Rabiot. Outside of Dusan, who's the outlier, you don't really have. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which I think that's limited.
It is.
Honestly, it's only a matter of time.
He's got 1 year. He's got 1 year. You're right. I think he's got 1 year before the amortization really starts to like take place where you can sell him without taking a loss. I think Dusan's under a lot of pressure this year, as he should
Absolutely.
be. On that weight, you're the highest wage earner, and you're our main attacking
Main
focal
guy.
point.
Poor, like for example, poor Euros as well. So it's.
Oh yeah, I mean, really, none of our players really balled out at the Euros this year.
Yeah.
Yildiz had a couple flashes and he's young, so you're like, you're not going to be that
First
hard
Euro,
on Yildiz.
19
like,
years old. Yeah,
like you're playing in a Euro quarterfinal as a teenager. Like that's what we want to see. Yeah, you started. Like Montella trusted you, so like for me that's good. You know what I mean? So like I'm not too worried about that. But Rabiot, even though he's technically not a UV player anymore, he finally got benched. Chiesa didn't do well at all. Cambiaso, the looks that he did get, didn't look that great. Gatti didn't play. Tech never had a chance with Poland, and he's pretty much on his way out too. Like we don't, and even with the Copa, right? Luis is not. He's not he's not a starter for Brazil yet.
But he's so
You know?
damn good when he plays,
He
though.
is.
He's
is.
so
Hopefully
damn good, man.
But even then, Bremer doesn't start either. Just Danilo's the only starter, really, for us.
I mean, with how bad that grass is, Sal, I don't mind.
Yeah, so I'm saying I want Danilo and Luis back. So I do want them to lose today. You know, it's not an anti-Brazil thing. It's more of a Juve thing. But yeah, it's a pro Juve thing. But that's the thing. Like, we don't really unlike Juve's past, our stars aren't shining on an international level, which is not the Juve way at all.
No.
For anybody who knows any kind of history about this club. So like, that's why I hope these players will listen to Mota, because it's like, hey, you guys want to start for Brazil, like, do what I say, man. Like, let's do it. Same thing with, we don't really have that many Italians. I don't really think anybody's displacing Donnarumma anytime soon. So I just want De Gregorio to, just concentrate on Juve and do what he's got to do. But yeah, like, we really need, we need these guys to ball out. Like, it's sad because it's hard for me to really get into, outside of just being a neutral and hate watching England. It's hard to get like super emotionally invested when you don't have Juve players, doing very well late into tournaments and having like, shining, No,
I gotcha. So I do want to give credit. I found the quote. It was actually Frankie that made the come with me, come join me at Roma Medical. I need someone to play cards with. So that was a Frankie quote. So the last thing we'll cover, because there's Money in the Bank, so I kind of want to watch that. That's going to be a pretty big pay-per-view. I think it starts in like 10 minutes, so I'll try to wrap this up quickly. So the last final piece of good business is Alicia Lehmann has her unveiling at Juventus, which I think is phenomenal business by Juventus by two things, right? One, you kind of give Douglas Luiz something that he wants, right? Because that is his significant other. So it's kind of like, hey, to come here, we'll also bring Alicia here. So, you can fully lock in.
At $4.5 million a year, which is a bargain for that dude.
Ridiculously cheap. Ridiculously cheap. So I think
we'll bring your boo.
We'll bring your boo and we'll make her TikTok famous because we need to replace Julia Grosso. So she got unveiled. Obviously, the funny thing about it is her personal page has more followers than AC Milan and Inter on Instagram. I think I think it was part of the thing where the men's team actually paid for it, which is crazy how she only costed $50,000. That was her transfer fee, which is, chump change when it comes to like the men's side. But I think from a brand perspective, I think Juve have just vaulted themselves.
Yeah. He might be annoying as all hell, but she was with that I Show Speed kid talking about Juve.
Yeah.
We need to get some neutrals back. Some people can think they're annoying, but that's what brings the money in, man. Like, you need some neutrals. You really do.
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to be a huge I think she's going to be a huge marketing success for the brand as well, because there's going to be a bunch of people that'll buy some kind of merch or some kind of equipment or something with her being there too. And that also brings in a lot more eyes on the women's game as well too. So, I think it's, Gentile had a hand in it. And I think also Juve's strategic marketing, rare corporate W by Juve there.
Well, I've been seeing a lot of that lately. Like, they just had that, Juve just posted something with Travis Scott.
Yeah.
Where he was wearing the Diodora, like old school Juve Diodora.
The 80s.
I don't know where he was at, but it's like, hey man, you're, like, we need get the eyes on there. You have that whole social media, thing that you guys are trying to do. Like, let's go get the brand up.
Yep. How much do girls make in footy? LJJ, I don't know. I know Alicia said on an interview that Alicia Lehmann said that she's like, I make more money off sponsorships and branding deals than I do from footy. She said she still plays it and plays it to enjoy it more so than like, for it to be a living. But yeah, she said that, like, for example, her clothing branding deals and all that stuff is where she makes the most bank. She's not like, a Ballon d'Or winner for the women's side. She's decent.
Not bad either.
She's not bad either. But I think, again, if it's able, like, I don't mind if it's able to get Douglas Luiz focused, locked in on games and also the discounted salary that we give him. I don't give a shit. You can bring 100 Alicia Lehmans as long as
she's nothing but a net positive.
Yes.
She's nothing but a net positive.
Huge
Does that
net
mean
positive.
does that mean the Juventus women are going to win the Scudetto? I don't think so. I don't think they're as good as Roma quite yet. But again, she brings way more positives than negatives. So
brings more revenue, which allows them to buy more better female players. So she's a foundational piece for
and
that.
If anything, too, like I think she'll be a good teammate. Probably getting some of her teammates on some of her videos or reels to up their exposure too. I'm sure they're not going to be mad at it. So.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean,
it's not
she's
like
already
WNBA where they try to cut, everybody.
Yeah, they try to kill Caitlin Clark. They're just the Italian feminine Serie A. Let's fucking kill Alicia. Go for the ankles. Gosh, I remember there was like a player from Chelsea that told her on the pitch. Alicia said this on an interview, and she's like, a Chelsea women's player was like, "You're only famous because of your ass, not because of your skill." And she's like, "Still make more than you."
Haters gonna hate.
I'm like, that's the pettiness that I love. But yeah, like I think again, great business by Gentili there, no issues whatsoever. Obviously, once these international competitions end, we're gonna find out more, figure out more. I think the main thing, and I think it's causing you, the longer it goes, the more concern Juve will have, is Chiesa being sold. I think that is going to probably be the first order of business, is getting him out the door. Because the longer that it drags out, the longer an issue it's going to be. But
so I think he unlocks Sancho too, so they're going to want to get him out of there as soon as possible. So,
God, that would be nuts if they were able to make that move happen.
I know German Dave's not a big fan of his, but I also know he's even less of a fan of Chiesa, so I think he should be happy in the end. So
it's a net positive. It's a net positive. But all right, then. Obviously, a little bit of a slow weekend this weekend. All the big juicy stuff happened last week, so we can't report the same stuff over and over again, because then that makes us Twitter news regurgitators. Ooh, was that a petty shot? It might have been. But again, Canada. Hopefully, we continue this super awesome. Damn it, Carr, asking a question right when we're about to sign off. Do you think Chiesa is going to turn into De Ligt and always talk shit about Juve? Probably. And then you'll have someone like Chiellini pop out and say, "I wonder why he's not starting so much." Chiellini with an absolute gem. That was the best post game ever, where he's like, "Damn, he doesn't start at Holland or Bayern. I wonder why."
And now he's going to Man U.
And he's not going to start there. It'd be ironic if he doesn't start there.
Maybe Harry Maguire can teach him a thing or two.
Harry Maguire and De Ligt in the back line. Oh, that's a meme waiting to happen. I can't wait until De Ligt's next interview where De Ligt says, "Yeah, the facilities at Bayern are terrible. Man United is a true challenging team. Their facilities are top notch, even though, parts of the Old Trafford are falling apart."
You get flooded.
But I'm all here for it. I'm just waiting to see the picture of Dybala and Chiesa playing poker somewhere in Rome. That's the picture that I crave to see. But all right, guys, we're going to continue this super awesome Canadian weekend, because Money in the Bank is in Toronto, Canada, and there is a lot of wrestling fans that are here, including Sal and myself. So we are going to cut the show so we can watch that. Formula One, folks, the Triple Ds will be back. We'll be back tomorrow to recap the Silverstone Grand Prix, where we talk about how it went in British, and they're hoping it rains just for a bunch of shithousery, because whenever it rains in racing, it's fucking awesome. But on that note, guys, obviously, if you're new, subscribe. If you've been here a while and you haven't subscribed yet, why haven't you subscribed yet?
Get on the Discord.
Yes, get on the Discord. I forgot to do that because I'm terrible at housekeeping. But here's the QR code. Bam. Scan the QR code. Join the Discord. Discord community is awesome. We've got everyone that's talking. The general chat has been preoccupied with Euro conversations. Sal always drops in gems in the news chat as well. I think probably the only active Discord community currently out right now, and not annoying as hell either. So obviously join that, and we'll see you guys tomorrow from the Formula One side. And then for some more footy, we'll be back on Wednesday doing the Tinfoil Hat Show. So hopefully some new stuff has come out by then, and we'll cover some stuff there. Hopefully Coop Myers, and we'll probably be there for the unveiling if we're wrong. So thanks for tuning in.
Take care, guys.
See you then.